Wanted to introduce the long-term research project that I've undertaken with the rattlesnakes of Lethbridge. The city of Lethbridge actually hires me to relocate the rattlesnakes from city residences and um, public streets and parks and that kind of a thing, and bring them to the nearest hibernacula. They don't pay me to do research or anything like that, and I'm not associated with any university. I do work at a college, but I'm not a biologist, I'm not a herpetologist or anything like that. I am a very well known naturalist in the province of Alberta, however, and it was my um, reputation among naturalists that got me recruited into this program as the lead on the Lethbridge rattlesnakes. The guy who had started the program 10 years before recruiting me had known me in that respect, and so basically recruited me to take over the program when he had to move away. So I thought, while I'm doing this work, I might as well be trying to um, learn something about the snakes, do some research with the snakes, but I don't like to have my research be really intrusive on the animals. And so, um, what I thought I could do is start a photo database of the snakes and learn to identify them as individuals by the little discrepancies and the patterns in their colored marking patterns on their backs. Each snake is really individual in the way that its back patterns are assembled, and so if you look at the patterns of each one, you can find little breaks in the pattern and that kind of thing, or odd shapes um, that only appear on that particular snake, and by that means identify them and monitor them in that respect. So every time I pick up a snake, when I go to drop it off, I take a close-up picture of it, and then I come back to my photo database and I see if I have ever picked up that snake before, and if I have, um, when was it, and then I can maybe learn a little bit something from the snakes. Now this is only the second year that I've been the lead on the program. So last summer was my first summer with them, and I think I collected about 68 different photographs of individual snakes, and I only had one repeat snake, and that I think was this one. If I open him up, a really older, what I thought was probably a male rattlesnake that I picked up at the golf club in Paradise Canyon and released at the North Riverstone Den site. And looking at his back pattern, you see right here there's a break in the variation, and then down here on his about mid back, you get a break in the pattern. And so I believe I saw this snake again later in the summer under unfortunate circumstances um, on University Drive in the area of Riverstone, not too far from where I dropped him off. And he was hit by a car, and again he has the same pattern break here and here, and he is an older, larger snake. And so unfortunately, um, that snake, I believe, died last summer due to automobile. This summer, I've been starting to see a couple of different snakes repeatedly. One of them is this guy, who I'm calling Two Spot Sam. And Two Spot Sam, I'm judging him as a mature male, although without poking and prodding and doing intrusive things, you can't be sure. Um, but in any case, I picked him up first on the 18th of May last year, 2013, at a canyon closed residence. And then again, I picked him up just the other day. Well, first of all, look at this back pattern. Before I switch photographs, you'll see this pattern break right here, and with the two spots. That's why I call him Two Spot Sam. So anyway, so I picked him up at this canyon closed residence, and then I picked him up again just 2 days ago. Where is he here? Right here. And you see that same pattern occurring, the two spots, Two Spot Sam. So I picked him up again 2 days ago, which is more than a year between encounters with him. And he was on the same street, Canyon Close, as the same street as I picked him up the first time. A different residence, but he definitely likes that particular street or that particular area. So he's coming back there. At least on the two occurrences, and we'll see if he comes back again. Now, another one that I've encountered repeatedly this summer. See if I can find him. Here he is. This is again. I think it's a large male, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I've named this one Tobias, and the pattern that I look for on Tobias's back is you see the pattern break right here, and then it's 2 blocks. Then it's followed by this heart-shaped pattern, and then 3 blocks, and then another pattern break. So Tobias is a really large snake, and I picked him up originally at a house on a little cul-de-sac called Canyon Terrace. A year ago today was my first encounter with him. I also noted at the time that he's got this little bit of scale damage up by his head where he probably got caught in somebody's fencing. So any case, I picked him up then at this little Canyon Terrace area, and then I dropped him off at a wood pile that's not too far from a hibernacula that I thought he might have come from, that I call the Upper Popson hibernacula. So that was a year ago today, and then 11 days ago I picked him up again, and let's see, here he is, and you see that pattern break, 2 bars, heart shape, 3 bars, pattern break. So this is definitely Tobias. Picked him up again. This was just 9 days ago, or 11 days ago, at the golf club, at the Paradise Golf Club, which is down the Cooley Bottom, not too far from that area where I picked him up. Maybe I'd say at least a kilometer from the area where I first picked him up. I took him and I released him at a rock pile at the entrance of near the entrance of Popson Park. And then today I was called to a residence, a snake in the garden, and the snake was Tobias. I didn't recognize him on the site. I had to take a picture and bring it home. But he does have neck scale damage, and he does have the same pattern break, 2 bars, heart shape, 3 bars, pattern break. So it's Tobias, and this time he was at a house on Canyon Boulevard, which was very close to the Canyon Terrace cul-de-sac, maybe about 3 houses away from the Canyon Terrace cul-de-sac where I picked him up a year ago today. So this snake I've come across 3 times, twice in very close proximity, to where I originally picked him up. So I picked him up today, pretty much less than a half kilometer from where I picked him up originally, and then once down at the golf course. Things that I'm learning, of course, is that like we see in both the case of Tobias and the case Two Spot Sam, is that these snakes seem to be going back to the same areas during the summer away from the den as they had in previous years. And so I expect to keep encountering these two snakes. We'll see if I do. Another thing that I've learned is because of having picked up Tobias down at the Paradise Golf Club and knowing that I had deposited him up by the upper Pops and Hibernacula, now I can say with some confidence that the snakes being picked up down at the golf club belong to that hibernaculum. Before, that was up for question. It's quite a ways from that hibernacula. There's another in the Riverstone area, which might even be the closer hibernacula. But it was always in question of whether or not the snakes at the golf club were coming from the Upper Popson clan or from the Riverstone clan. And at least in Tobias's case, I can say with fair certainty that he is from the Upper Popson clan. And so I'll be curious, in the future to learn whether or not there's snakes from both clans visiting the golf club that's kind of between them, or whether it's just strictly those from the Upper Popson that are going there. So, this is going to be a long-term study. It's nothing that can be rushed, but I think over the years, as I work with these snakes, I'm going to become more and more familiar with the habits of certain individuals, and then I'll be able to show that using this kind of a technique, you don't necessarily need to be extremely intrusive in the snake's lives, as I would consider the minor surgery of pit tagging to be. That with modern digital cameras, I just use my iPhone. You can collect good data if you give yourself the time to work with and maybe learn some interesting things about these snakes. I'm looking forward as the years go to see what exactly I can learn by this method. I think I'll learn quite a bit.